Welcome to my review of the In-Era Lizard model kit. As you can see, it costs roughly 70 quid, which for a kit of this size is pretty good. I didn't get a box with it, as I got it from AliExpress, so everything came just wrapped in cellophane really. It's a massive kit. Look at the instruction manual, it's pretty thick. It's the size of a trade paperback. And there's 43 individual sprues, plus some extra little bits and pieces, like that plastic bag that had the wires, and the pack with the stickers, the decals, also contains a card for the display base. You might notice it's in a slightly different location. As you can see from all these sprues, I couldn't build it where I normally build my kit, so I've had to build it downstairs in my dining room on my dining table, which is massive. As you can see, I've had to lay it out like this. But I have a trick. My dish drainers for 2 quid. With enough of those, I've organised it pretty neatly. So that's 40 something sprues and all within arm's reach. So I'm going to start building up the inner frame, and the first part you build here is the stand. It comes with a reversible faceplate. The one that's on display there is a little bit in your face, but you'll see that later in the video. I'm also taking a bit of a different tack as I go through the build. Rather than showing each of the parts being combined, there's 900 parts to this kit, so I've decided to do it bit by bit. Just take pictures of the parts laid out and then how they're assembled. It's a nice spring-loaded mechanism in the back of the leg for this kit as well. So although you don't get to see all the parts being snapped together, you kind of see what goes into it and the detail of each of the parts as they're built. It just would take so long to film and edit it if I showed every single part being assembled. As you can see, the complexity of this build is pretty amazing. This isn't even the finished kit, this is just the inner frame. So it's kind of like the exoskeleton, well, the skeleton of the robot itself. And all the parts there, you can see the arms, in this case the head. This is the smallest thing, even this head, 2, 4, 6, 10 pieces roughly for the head. It looks so good, and there it is compared to a Zaku Warrior. So I will mention this isn't a Gundam kit. This is a third-party kit by a company called In-Era. So it isn't technically a Gundam. I think the closest thing you compare it to is possibly a Sazabi, which is one of the red bad guy robots. As you can see, it's red as well, but has kind of similar feel with the engines on the side of the legs, etc. It's a wonderful kit. The level of detail here is incredible. I'm definitely going to be buying stuff from In-Era in the future. I've really enjoyed this kit. I don't want to spoil any score just yet, but this has been a phenomenal build. Look at the level of detail there. It's very Iron Man-esque, but you'd believe me if I told you that was painted. And outside of a bit of panel lining, all these pictures so far, snap built. That's all the colours of the plastic that come in the kit itself. And as I've said, the only kit you could really compare it to that I've built personally is the MGX Strike Freedom. The variety of plastics in this, there's I think 10, 15 metallic sprues across 5, 6 different colours, and that colour separation really helps all these parts stand out. I do love the design as well. I think some might be a bit put off by how spiky it is, and you get that with third party kits, but I'm really digging it so far. Some quick comparisons, just against a couple of kits. Here it is up against an MG Sinanji. It's easily as big as it, and here it is with a tiny Zaku Warrior, which comes up to its knee. Quick change of scenery now. Because I managed to build the model itself and I moved on to the weapons, as you can tell, I've gone back to my office because I now have the space to sit down and get stuck in. The detail on these axes are amazing. They fold out, they turn into guns. Everything turns into guns on this kit, you'll see eventually, and look how great that is. It has so much shelf presence and takes up so much real estate. It's a pretty big build. The rest of the build now is essentially its guns, and I don't know if you can see how long's left on the video, but that's a lot of build and they take a lot of time. And for size comparison, that's a perfect grade Unicorns minigun, and it's essentially the same size as the guns on this. So here's the infamous ammo belt. There's 56 parts for each of those ammo belts that you have to connect on just for the belt, just so it has that sort of more physical appearance and the wire underneath it. And it's not as bad as it seems. Once you get a routine going, it all came together pretty smoothly. And the finished effect so far, as you can see, as each of those parts gets added on, it's just better and better. These are the most extra and coolest looking guns I've ever seen on a Gundam. And that level of detail, like I said, MGX standard, or even better in my opinion. On just the weapons alone, for 70 quid, this kit is just a must buy in my opinion. Now moving on to the final assembly. As you can see, I've added the water slides on as well, the decals. I didn't use all of them. It's like 300 and something. I think I used about 200, but I tried to make sure I used all the more prominent ones and the ones that I think were in places that stood out best. And now I'm just going to assemble the model. I've actually recorded some of the footage after this so you can see it being built, because this hopefully will give you a good idea of some of the detail and some of that finishing. Like, just look how incredible that is. Again, no paint, just plastic parts, a little bit of panel lining, a bit of extra work has gone in with the decals. You know, this wasn't a quick build. For reference, those SD Gundams took me an hour or two. Some of the quicker ones, like that Gunpla took me about 5 minutes, but this took me about 20 hours all in all. There's 900 parts. I had to clean a lot of it off. Almost everything was undergated, which is where they put the nubs on the underside of the plastic, so when you cut it off you can't really see them as well. It hides them better, and it does involve extra work, but it makes the end product so much better. And as you can see, the quality of this kit, the quality of the parts, the colour separation, even the design, I think is fantastic. I'm going to mention on here though, just whilst I'm putting the arms on, there are some really tight fits on this. With third party kits, one of the things that's often labelled at them is cheap fitting parts, or things don't fit properly, you have to drill holes or use super glue to make things fit properly. Not in this case. Everything fit really well, but some of it was just a bit too tight. Look how good those legs are. I love the decals on this. I think they've come out fantastic. And there's some chunky legs. They can really hold the weight. In fact, the whole kit is incredibly weighty. Just the robot without the backpack minigun madness that you can see in the background is a substantial kit. I'm not sure how much it weighs. I could weigh it, I suppose. I've got some get my daughter's baking scales out, but it is a monster of a kit. So just popping it all together, you can see now it's probably between, I'd say about 9 inches tall when it's fully finished. And it's a fantastic looking beast. Just going to pop the axes in again with their decals and that level of detail, the colour separation on the metals, and they just slot in. There's little pegs both on the hands, and then some gaps in the weapons for them to hold them. Same with its lightsabers, which I don't actually show in this video. With most kits, I don't like using the saber weapons. The clear plastic they use for saber effects always looks a bit odd to me. I'd rather use the guns or any other weapons that the kits come with. And in this case, the yellow they use, the sort of urine yellow for the beam effects, is not pleasant. So you won't see me really displaying them in this video because I just don't like them. Here's one side of those miniguns, so you get 2 miniguns with an ammo belt. I'd say there's probably more parts just in that minigun, that half of a minigun that you've got there, than there is in most master grades that I've built. There's probably about 200 parts in that. And I know that sounds ridiculous, 150, 200 parts, but there genuinely is about 150 parts just in that one minigun. As you can see, the axes have a gimmick where they fold up, and then what you can do is you can then peg them into the backpack. Once that's built, you'll see me do that in a second. Again, lovely colour separation here, some moving parts. You see me knock off one of the verniers there, but the metallics there, the different colours, it just comes out so wonderfully and gives that level of detail that I genuinely have only had from a handful of kits, and I've built a lot of Gundam over the last few years, and outside of, like I said, the MGX Strike Freedom, I don't think I've ever built a kit with this level of colour separation. It's continuously impressive as you go through the build. So each of those minigun constructs get popped into the backpack, and as you can see, there's a peg built into the middle of that backpack unit that can slot into the back of the model itself. It's really hard to do. Again, it's one of those tight joints. You can see where it pegs in. I'll show it on the camera there. I could not get this on camera. It took a lot of effort to even get it in there. So I've done my best to get it in. But as you can see, once it's fitted and it's posed up a little bit, it will need its stand. It will barely stand up like that. If you display it, it will fall over if someone slams a door. So moving on to my final thoughts. Overall, this is a phenomenal kit. One of my favourite kits I've ever made, if I'm being brutally honest. Whether it's my top kit of the year, I guess you'll see in a future video. But here you can see pros, value for money. The detail is as good as a Strike Freedom. The weapons are incredible. The design, in my opinion, although it could be divisive, I love it. But overall, one of the best kits I've made, and a solid 9 out of 10. Wonderful kit, highly recommended. Go and buy yours now.